welcome back, and thank you for your mature and respectful reaction to my last video. I truly appreciate it, and I'm glad that we can talk and discuss and even debate without hate and anger. Of course, there were a few, as expected, who either did not listen to the video, just heard me mentioning Charles and William and decided that I was bashing them or have become Meghan's mouthpiece. How ridiculous. It's insane actually, but I'm used to that. I post a beautiful photograph of Catherine and her children on Mother's Day, and someone pops up and says I should stop harassing or bashing or thrashing the Princess of Wales. I'm not even bothered about that kind of rubbish anymore. It is just so ridiculous. I just roll my eyes and move on. I see Harry has been the first and last, made a surprise TV appearance once again. He appeared on the latest episode of KCIII. A former serviceman, Lance Corporal Stephen van Niekerk, had his problematic Jeep Grand Cherokee restored, and after the restoration was revealed to Stephen, Harry suddenly appeared via a video call. He congratulated Stephen, and of course, as Harry loves his own voice so much, he had to make a speech talking about Stephen's injuries he got in an explosion in Afghanistan, the inspiration, community, family, blah, blah, blah. All the things Harry knows absolutely nothing about. Anyway, it wasn't a surprise, not a pop-in either. It was a bloody message recorded last year already. But, as always, nothing is as it seems with Harry and Meghan ever. Now lately we're not hearing much about Meghan. Thank goodness for that. A short reprieve from her is worth a truckload of gold. Goodness, I think she's one person who can actually make money by keeping quiet and out of sight. I'll certainly donate $1 to keep from seeing her smug face. Gladly. Anyway, she is allegedly working on her own memoir and a wellness book, and allegedly the new TIG will launch this week or next week, although some are saying that she'll launch it in the week prior to the coronation. So I guess we will have to wait and see. Nobody that I usually trust could so far find out whether she is going to produce another 6-part Spotify series. It is not impossible, but I personally don't think so. I was told that her next series was going to be about men, and speaking to men about gender stereotypes, and allegedly that was the actual ruse she used to lure Mr. Getty. Allegedly, she rented a conference room at his hotel to interview him in. Okay, so granted, we may get another Spotify, but I just feel in my bones that we won't. I think the mother of a prince and princess will deem herself too important to do a podcast. But, who knows? She may keep it on us for desperate times, or the day Harold has sniffed and smoked all their money up into the distant yonder. Anyway, whatever Madame Duchess of Yachts and Lies are up to, I'm sure she is going to fly under the radar and keep it on us until the coronation or shortly before. And it is the coronation I actually want to chat about a little. Well, what is a coronation other than a ceremony in which the king and his wife are crowned? Well, as you know, Charles became king the moment his mother passed away. And we also saw him signing oaths and declarations in the days following her death. So it is correct to say that Charles is king already. But The coronation is both the symbolic religious ceremony as well as the physical act of placing a crown on the monarch's head. It basically formalizes the monarch's role as the head of the Church of England and symbolizes the transfer of power. The actual ceremony at Westminster Abbey will consist out of the following: recognition and oath, anointing, investing, crowning, enthronement, and the closing procession. As we all know by now, the coronation will take place on Saturday the 6th of May, and about 2,000 guests will be expected in attendance, much less than the 8,000 guests present at the Queen's coronation. But in the current economic and political climate, that is to be expected. And I don't think the King, the government, or the organising committee had much of a choice but to cut on the size, expense, and extravagance. On the actual day of the coronation, after the ceremony at Westminster Abbey, the King and Queen Consort will return to Buckingham Palace in a larger ceremonial procession known as the Coronation Procession. According to the latest details released by Buckingham Palace, the King and Queen Consort will be followed in the procession by the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children, the Princess Royal and her husband, Vice Admiral Sir Tim Lawrence, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, and the Duke of Kent and his sister, Princess Alexandra. And then the Royal UK website only states, at Buckingham Palace, the King and Queen Consort, accompanied by members of the family, will appear on the balcony to conclude the day's ceremonial events. It does not state who the family members are. Anyway, so that is informative, but it leaves a lot of questions. We know by now that King Charles III had decided to scrap the Pledge of Allegiance for the dukes, and only William will perform the ceremony. He will kneel and pledge allegiance to Charles, along with touching the St. Edward's crown and kissing his father's right cheek. We also know that Charles has changed many other things. We just don't know what exactly. But I think we all heard that it said that the king will not don tights. Yeah, indeed. He will not wear tights for one of the traditional outfits. But it appears that overall he'll stick to tradition, just minus the tights. And I don't blame him for that. So during the recognition and oath phase, the monarch will walk down the aisle and will take an oath to serve his country. At this venue, he will traditionally wear the crimson surcoat and robe of state. The surcoat is a short velvet cloak with a high collar embroidered with gold and worn under most or all of the robes during the ceremony. The robe of state is a long mantle worn over that, made of red velvet, gold embroidery, regal ermine and gold lace. The Queen's mantle was indeed 14 feet long. The Queen, of course, wore a gown in place of a surcoat, but it is possible that King Charles will have a coat specifically made and designed for him for the ceremony, although I must say that this is disputed by some of my more informed friends who are of the opinion that the king will wear his military uniform throughout and will purely wear the robe of state, the actual mantles, along with that. Anyway, during the anointing, the monarch is then stripped of all symbols of status, including the robe of state. Traditionally, the monarch is then dressed in like a white robe with no decoration which fastens at the back. You know, something similar to a hospital gown. However, the Queen already changed this up a bit by wearing a simple white pleated dress during her coronation. So we'll see what the King will do, but he will likely, if he wears his military uniform, will just remove his jacket to expose an open-necked white shirt. And according to my learned friends, that is the most likely scenario. During the investiture, the king is dressed in the robe royal, which is a long coat of golden silk reaching the ankles. It has wide sleeves and is lined in crimson silk and decorated with national symbols and fastened with a belt. During the investiture, the king is presented with the symbols of sovereignty, the gold spurs, a jeweled sword, the golden bracelets of sincerity and wisdom, and lastly, he will receive the orb, the coronation ring, and the coronation glove, and the 2 scepters. During the crowning, the monarch continues to wear the investiture robes and holding the scepters, but now the archbishop will place the crown on his head. Leaving the service, the king dons a purple surcoat and also an embroidered ermine cape with a train of purple, silk and velvet, Canadian ermine, etc. Again, my friend who does have somewhat of an ear on the ground at Buckingham Palace reckons the king will not change into the robe royal, but will instead just don his military jacket again, to which they will purely attach the purple cape to his uniform as he leaves the church. There is talk that the king is going to shun all these changes of clothing and, like I said, just opt for military uniform and the 2 long capes. The one he enters with, the red one, and the one he leaves with, the purple one. I think, taking into account the times we live in and Charles's age, I think this is likely true and my friend is likely correct, but we shall have to wait and see, regardless of the issues regarding the anointment where the archbishop anoints the sovereign with the sacred oil on the hands, the breast and the head. I cannot see a military jacket which can unbutton in front as being an issue. Or maybe the king will just strip down to his pants and a white shirt. Makes perfect sense. Another change Charles has made is that they, him and Camilla, will not use the Golden State Coach to travel from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey. Instead, they may use the Irish State Coach, the one which had been used in the past to travel to the opening of Parliament. But, again, one of my regular mateys said no. He heard that the King and Queen will opt for a more comfortable car to transport them to the Abbey. The Golden State Coach will, however, wait for them at the Abbey, and they will return to Buckingham Palace in the said Golden State Coach. But of course, being who we are, as curious as little monkeys, and in particular because we have the added unknown element of the Harkles thrown into the mix, there are other things we are dying to know or find out. And of course, in this community, we are becoming nauseated at the thought that Rachel Zane, the Duchess of Succedit, may appear on our screens wearing a tiara, or even worse, wearing a coronet. Honestly, guys, I had a nightmare about Meghan walking down the aisle in a cape and coronet, and I felt sick for the rest of the day. So this was one of the things I asked of my buddies, and thank goodness he managed to console me a little. He says that he does not think there will be too many hereditary peers in attendance, only a small number representing them, and that they will either be wearing dark suits or parliamentary robes. Now, this is significant because in the past, the moment the king was crowned, all the peers put on their coronets, and when the queen consort was crowned, all the peeresses put on their coronets and long white gloves. Well, by all indications, that tradition is going to be scrapped in 2023. My friend says he does not know this for sure because he has not specifically asked that question, but he thinks if any coronets are going to be worn, it will only be by William and Catherine as the Duke and Duchess of Cornwall and the next King and Queen. That is, if coronets are used at all. As far as tiaras are concerned, he's also not sure. He is assuming that the logistics of traveling in a procession draped in jewels and tiaras may prove problematic, and therefore he is not sure, but will try and find out for us. But again, he is 99.9% sure that only working royals will be allowed to borrow or use crown jewels. But of course, if the royal princesses and duchesses will be allowed to wear coronets or tiaras, Meghan would be welcome to bring and wear her own. Anyway, laughing, my friend said the only reason why he believes Meghan may decide at the very last minute not to attend is because there will be a lot of bowing and curtsying going on, like a lot. Meghan and Harry will have to bow and curtsy to Charles and Camilla and to William and Catherine. Imagine how hard that is going to be for them. But not only that, the coronation will also be attended by other royals like Prince Albert and Princess Charlene, Japan's Prince Akishino and Princess Kiko, who were the first to confirm their attendance. But we'll also likely see King Philippe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain, all of whom outrank Harry and Meghan. And because the coronation is a state and very formal event, all protocol has to be adhered to. So, if Meghan attends, she'll be bobbing up and down Each time she sees a royal who outranks her for the first time, she will have to curtsy. Oh my word, I don't know how her narcissism is going to survive that. Anyway, I'm sure as we move closer to the coronation date, we will surely find and hear more. And my friend has now gone back, and hopefully he will ask the outstanding questions, and if he does get the answers, he will let me know, and I will let you know. Okay, so until we meet again on the next one, please take good care of yourselves. Bye.